guys. It is time to party. Got my favorite coffee. Party. I am ready for action. Hmm. All right. This right here. Here. How's everybody doing today? Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum. All right, let me grab my headphones and we'll jump in. Check, check, check. All right, good on the sound. Let's get into it. Rambo, what's going on this morning, man? How are you doing? Got check. Twitch is doing too. All right, let's start diving in here. See where we're at. I did not trade London. Um, I looked at it a little before London started, and I wasn't really seeing any opportunity that could play out during London, which I'm good with. Give me 2 seconds. So that actually did end up sweeping there. So there's no S&P. Then we have this sweep. Okay, so we did sweep there. All right, so we just got rid of the S&T. All right, so let's go up on our time frame list here. Let's since we're middle of the week, I'm just going to take a quick peek at the weekly. So we've definitely opened the week higher, and we are seeing us pull back from that top wick here just a little bit. Don't see still still in the weekly fair value gap on the bullish fair value gap. So nothing there that's really catching my eye. But it's very rare where we have 5 days in a row of bullish price action. Uh, so let's keep that in mind. We did expand higher first 2 days of the week. And we have bounced out of a daily fair value gap that has held price um, pretty well, not just this week, but a couple weeks ago. And then now again in here, and we have bounced out of that. And now we're inside of a daily fair value gap on NQ, but we do not have that fair value gap on ES. On NQ, what I'm looking at here is we're only, a couple of ticks above consequent encroachment, 7.75 points on NQ, which isn't much. So we're right at the 50% of that daily is where we closed, and we have since rejected it. So for me, that's essentially looking bearish, or that we have maybe a bearish catalyst that could sponsor a move. So anyone that didn't trade with us yesterday, we talked about these 4-hour lows on ES. You have this is previous day low here. We got previous week low here, which are relative equal lows, and then we have these over here from a couple of weeks ago. Those to me, just how close they all are together, kind of jumbled up. This is my objective probably for the week. So us starting the week higher into a daily fair value gap on NQ over here, starting the week higher. We could potentially look for that weekly candle to now start to flip potentially. And that's coming solely based on we haven't really been in a true bullish uptrend on the high time frame. We've actually been kind of staircasing downwards the last few weeks. And because we have such noticeable draws on liquidity lower on ES, NQ has already taken these lows out. But it still does have a previous week low down here, previous day low. So it's still got some. NQ also has some stuff down there that we could target. And then on the very high time frame, we have a monthly fair value gap here. And then down in here on ES. So a couple of weekly FEGs down here as well. So there's definitely some what I would think to be bullish support lower. That could potentially need to get tapped before we try to expand towards all-time highs again. But those have been there for a number of weeks now. That obviously not guaranteed. All right, so now to the 4-hour. Looking at, so let's see here. So we have, let's just quick review here. So these first 15 minutes of market open, I don't trade. So we're just going to use this as our quick review time. So we have our potential liquidity targets down here on ES, and then down here on Q. Now this candle right here, this 4-hour candle, see that was PM. So yesterday, New York AM, we traded this candle. We traded that 10 a.m. 4-hour candle. because we pulled back into the 4-hour FEG here, got this tap, and then low time frame uh, reversal signals going higher. So that was our trade yesterday, and now since that since that trade starting at 2 p.m. yesterday, we've kind of just fallen back off. Now, something that does come that I do see here is we did sweep this low from yesterday, and then over on ES, we actually formed relative equal lows at that low from yesterday. That's pretty interesting to me. We did have an bullish SMT there, but it's gotten invalidated in the last hour or so. Uh, So that could potentially sponsor a move higher. We'll have to wait and see. So now, unfortunately, we do not have a 4-hour. So now where my brain goes is if actually this did sweep right here by like a tick. So disregard what I just said there at the end. So here's my let's set up our scenarios. We got about a minute till 9:45. So if this is and if we're gonna count this as a sweep on liquidity, right? Which is fine. That's what it is. And that to potentially sponsor a move higher, what would we need to see? Well, our eyes should go to this leg that's going down and look for an opportunity for us to see a break of structure, IFEG, things of that nature. Now, the thing that sticks out to me that are different between the indexes right now is NQ has a 4-hour bearish FEG right here that ES did not form. Okay. And they are both respecting this bullish 4-hour pretty well at this time. So we could deem this our run on liquidity. Now, so we put the 4-hour on our chart here because we don't have um, that exact gap on ES. We're going to have to go down in time frame. Mark where that H4 was starting, just to have that on the chart here. All right, so zooming in now on the H1. So this H1 right here is basically overlapping the 4-hour on NQ. Take ES down to the 1-hour. But yeah, that did get that by about a tick. So we are expanding higher off of the open. Literally no downside. Let's see if we have any of these 1-hour highs. So this is 8 p.m. So this hourly high right here, I would deem my Asia high. But I would consider this pretty minor because it's not the extreme. 8 a.m., we can call this low the New York free market low. Oops. And then let's do the same over here. Asia would be here. And then as far as London, depends on, I mean, technically this is the high of London, the top of this, 2 a.m., or maybe this, but really to me, the key swing point made during London is this. So I would just consider that my quote London high. So I would consider that now swept. And then this would be your London low here. That is swept. So basically, we opened 6 p.m. here, accumulated a bit. Here's our Asia high. We made Asia low, maybe right in here. That immediately got swept. London dumped, popped back up, calling that my Asia or London high. And then it tapped this H1, respected, sold off, swept the low of London, swept liquidity from yesterday, and now we're getting a bullish reaction. So we do have opportunity here, guys. So right off the bat, what I'm seeing as our first scenario, go ahead and get our text box here. I don't always forget how to spell scenario. Doesn't so call these our daily scenarios. We do not have biases going into the market. I believe biases are pretty dangerous to have. I like to have if then statements. If this happens, then I would look for this. If this happens, then I would look for that. So off the bat, because of the London low sweep and the sweep from this, you could actually consider this low right here and here to be your New York AM low from yesterday. If you wanted to call it that, I'm just going to call it that, give it that run on liquidity line there. But um, so we have a sweep of a low. We have another tap of the 4-hour FEG there that seems to be holding prices reacting from pretty well at this point. So because of that, I would say my first scenario going back to that 1-hour chart is if we go IFEG on this H1 here. So IFEG, or let's say H1 IFEG, we would IFEG, and that would come off of this 9 a.m. 9 a.m. H1 candle, and then we would look for the 10 a.m. H4 candle to open lower. That would be our IFEG retap. So it could basically meaning 10 a.m., say it starts here, pull back into the IFEG, and then look for that candle to give us some expansion. So we would look for that to retap the IFEG, and then we would go long to previous day high, and we could do that for both the indexes. All right, so that's our scenario number one. Scenario number two, we need a bearish scenario because again, we've extended a good amount on that weekly candle to the upside. We want to consider the fact that this week followed the last few, which has Monday, Tuesday have been bullish, and we've got that bullish expansion, and then the second half of the week comes and it's sold off. So again, not a guarantee. The other reason that I like the IFEG here, and because on NQ you actually have two H1 gaps, you would only really be considering this one. And the reason for that is your premium PD array. Looking at your dealing range from that 1 hour high to that 1 hour low, that was the gap. Truly, this one's overlapping your equilibrium. If that was the only one, you could that would be fine because it's not technically really in discount. It's right on the line, but this one being way up there in premium, I would consider that to be the ideal entry. Let's see here. We also have potentially forming here a 1 hour breaker block. So I'm defining that as a low, lower high, lower low, higher high. And you would get that from your consecutive candles here, in this case, the bullish candles. So we can look potentially for that 10 a.m. start, the start of the 10 a.m. open. I'm going to get rid of this FEG because that's not the one that we have. Actually, take that back. What that the ES one was formed off this candle. I'll leave it on there. So this would be our H1 breaker. So now what we would potentially look for here is at the 10 a.m. open for price to either pull back into the IFEG here, if it indeed goes IFEG, or potentially even down into this breaker. And then we could look for higher prices to deliver for. So that's our scenario one. I'm not taking a trade that I don't have, um, predetermined as one of my scenarios. Now I'll add to my scenario list throughout the session, of course, but so I think both of those We could have, so let's add that IFEG retap slash breaker. So we would just be looking for price to pull back into those levels and then go scale way down in time frame to look for confirmation. The other option, now that I'm seeing how bullish this first 30 minutes of this market is, the other option is that I would be interested in is because ES has been trending more bullish. Here's ES's previous day high here. If we were to sweep this, and here's NQ's previous day high, but say we get an SMT there and it starts to roll over, I think that could potentially be interesting down into your previous day lows. You also have this New York pre-market low here. And because of how fast this pushed, I would guess that the 5-minute chart on this uptrend here has a lot of low resistance liquidity, meaning higher highs and higher lows being made in the market without liquidity sweeps, right? Basically a trend line. So why is that important, right? You would like to, if you're going short, you would much rather go short into, or really long or short into low resistance liquidity, because these lows, if you believe in liquidity, I guess that is in the algorithm, like I do, you would assume that all these lows have liquidity that the algorithm would want to seek out. And because you don't have any liquidity sweeps in this entire move up, you could look for the market to fall through those levels. I don't want to say easily, but easier than when you have a level that has it's consolidated at a lot, it's chopped around a lot, there's a lot of wicks everywhere. They're sweeping liquidity on both sides, that kind of situation. All right, so here's our 10 a.m. open. Anybody that has traded with me before knows that 10 a.m. is the time to really hyper focus in here. We want to see that the 10 a.m. candle is indeed manipulating in the opposite direction as what we would like to trade. So right now, just based off our position, because ES is so close to previous day high, I really want this thing to open bearish, like really soon, and leave this as a relative equal high to previous day high. If this pushes off the open and sweeps previous day high, and then we leave this SMT here, then to me, that, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I would start maybe leaning a little more bearish than I am now. So let's go ahead and put our second scenario in. So we would look for potentially ES sweeps previous day high, um, SMT with NQ at that high, and then we would look for entry to NY pre-market low and previous day low and previous week low. So far, those are the scenarios that I would like to see. All right, so now let's clean our chart up a bit. So now all these H1 FEGs are IFEGs. So those will turn gray on my screen to show that. Bring this back just a bit. Um, so 4 hour on ES is still thinking about climbing up there. We really don't want it to. So this 1 hour here is an IFEG now on ES. Now I'm going to go down in time frame to the 30-minute. Now I'm given a very clean billing range on this uptrend. So from swing high to swing low, consecutive up close candles. That would put my 50% line right at actually the 9:30 open for ES and right on top of this 1 hour IFEG. So that's pretty interesting. Going to the 30-minute over here on MQ, swing high to swing low. So that's actually a bit above the 9:30 open, but right at that breaker. And by this IFEG, which is off the same candle as the ES IFEG. So we would want to see price attract towards that. We have 30-minute. We do have a 30-minute FEG way down here, but I don't think that that's really going to get hit at this time. Looking a little disconnected at the moment. I think honestly it would be cleaner if ES would leave previous day high for us. I think I do have one more scenario I want to put on. So it's kind of the opposite as number 2. So it would be ES sweeps previous day high on H4 or 10 a.m. H4 open, which it just did. And then we have a keyword short-term SMT within Q. And then that pushes price lower into bullish POIs. And then we could look for longs to NQ previous day high. So what I'm saying there is right now we have an SMT in the market, right? Now, you don't know at this moment is the SMT going to hold or not, right? Because they can be invalidated. Yeah. Because they can be invalidated, right? So what I'm basically saying here is we get this SMT at the high. Let's go ahead and draw that. So here's previous day high, our sweep. Here's our SMT, okay? So if we get this SMT, which we just did, we now know that usually when we see an SMT at a high, you're going to get some sort of bearish reaction. Not saying it's going to last, because sometimes these things will come down from that from that SMT and then catch wind in a bullish PD array and then go back where NQ ends up invalidating the SMT because it ends up taking the high as well, just later, right? So that's going to be our third scenario is if we get this SMT, which we do, and it pulls back into these PD arrays that we have marked in here, and we're getting the bullish signal still, right? Then we could look for, some sort of long up into there. Now, what would probably be the smartest idea is if you took longs on ES, even though it's already taken previous day high, and then just TP when NQ sweeps previous day high, because it seems like ES is moving um, much, much cleaner to the upside as of now. That would be an idea. So we got three scenarios. 1 and 3 are pretty close to each other. Feel like number 2 is going to be a little harder, only because we do have stacked bullish PD arrays in here, and you have this gap, and which is overlapping that 4-hour gap in the same spot. That's really been holding price up, and to really get uh, the delivery down into these levels that I think would be open if the market flips bearish, I think it would be hard to judge if it's really going to sell off in that sense, especially today being Wednesday. So today, anybody that isn't aware, we have Tesla earning, Tesla and Google earnings at close today. Take a quick look up here at the chart. Nasdaq's looking not very pretty, to be honest. See what S&P looking like. Yeah, the S&P. Look how much stronger the S&P looks right now. So any longs today, I think I would lean more towards the S&P. Personal, not financial advice. So we're getting some consolidation off the 4-hour open. We've opened about 11 minutes ago, which is totally fine and normal. We would really want, I'm just looking at what we could potentially form here. Wait just a second, guys. I'm kind of brainstorming. But this is our midnight opening range here, 12 to 12:30. This is, in my belief, a very institutionally level, which we are pulling back into for NQ. And also remember, guys, I honestly I kind of forgot this. On this scenario number 2, ES sweeps previous day high, SMT with NQ. We do have that now. Look for entry for New York pre-market low, which is this, and potentially previous day low, previous week. Okay. Remember, we are rejecting out of the daily bearish fair value gap on NQ that we looked at the very beginning of stream. Kind of forgot about that. So we do have something to the downside that um, oh, but we actually just inverse this. Oh, I'm so glad I just looked at that. So actually, guys, look at this. 10 a.m.'s opening. We're getting a retap of the 4-hour IFEG on NQ. Here's the Dilling ring. We're through equilibrium. Look at this Dilling range here. Watch. Look. Swing high here. Swing low. Consecutive down close candles. Here's our 50%. We popped through it. Now we're pulling back. Do we start holding that? Honestly, guys, this I like this more now. Um, so unfortunately, we don't have that 4-hour on ES, which would be really nice. I think we need to get down in time frame here and really start looking for us a POI to look at, because to me this is looking pretty good. Is that daily, look at that daily candle, right? Like that huge wick on the bottom of it, and now it's flipping. I don't know if you really want to be short, trying to short it all the way back down to that low of that wick. See here. We got that 30-minute way down there. So 15-minute may be our cleanest option here, guys. Do we just pull back into this first 15? I don't really like this because this is buying out of premium. Little 15 FEG right here. So this is the dealing range. So equilibrium's way down here. So to me, really, I would much rather this 15. I'd much rather buy out of that. So what could potentially happen here is a pullback into this 15, give a pattern trade of a 1-minute IFE or something and get people in long, and then just make uh, a lower high, and then sweep it one more time, tap this FEG, and then give you that uh, true reversal that we'd be looking for. But we'll have to see, right? Um, so here's that 15 on ES there. But where we really would like to do business, we're into this area here. And we do have one more down here. But honestly, if it runs through to 15 minutes, then I probably wouldn't be super confident in long. So right here on the 5-minute, this is pretty crucial for us. We want to see if we got some kind of bearish PD array. We could look for the hold here. So we got a little 1-minute right here. Let's see if they give you the IFEG. And of course, if anybody wants to take that IFEG, then you can 100% do what you feel is best. If you think this first 15-minute FEG is going to deliver, then you can definitely take it. Honestly, there. I mean, maybe you can get a retap of this. But for me, I really want to see that. I want to see the buyers get in early, because I don't think personally, I don't believe the market will open the 10 a.m. candle and then just manipulate a few points down, tap the first 15-minute that you have and a stack of them, and then deliver the previous day high. But I can definitely be wrong. So this Asia high got swept. Well, actually, we haven't even gotten to that. I don't know if you have. I'm not really too worried about this Asia high just because it's in the middle of the trend here, this hourly high. Got a really good reaction off midnight opening price, man. Very strong 15-minute candle there. Just 5 minutes looking a little weak, though. Let's see if they wanna yank it down. It would be my assumption now at this point that there is a pool of liquidity under this low. Look at that, ES is running it. What did I tell y'all? So I would assume that to be liquidity there. Yep, they're yanking it on. So everybody that got in early is getting punished, caught off sides. Now, what we could potentially see is maybe, well, I don't know, NQ is kind of rolling now, but I was going to say we might S&T at this low. Let's see how it plays out here. Minute, 30 seconds left on this candle. Mm. Rambo, have you taken any trades today? All right, good run on liquidity on ES, honestly. Now, what do I like about this even more than just sweeping that low that I just marked? Like, yeah, I like to see that, the market punishing the early buyers. I do like to see that. But what I like even more, I'm gonna get this magnet turn, is here's our 4-hour open, right? What have we done? Yeah, we do have this wick here, but I'm seeing the manipulation. I want to see something impulsive in the opposite direction of the way that I want to take my trade. I want to capture a piece, just a piece of the 4-hour expansion, and I want to uh, position myself so that I am at the 4-hour opening price, or on a long below it, or on a short above it, right on the wick, opposite of the way that I'm of the candle's expansion. So right now, guys, we actually have an SMT at this low. So just a little 5 minute at this time, little 5 minute SMT. Um, let's see if is Nasdaq picking up a bit now, because it seems to be holding a little stronger at this level than ES. No, not really. Their trading view looks different. Okay. All right, so now we do have a tap into this 15 gap. We're also getting very close to touching this H1 IFEG. Now, I want everybody that's in the stream to really pay attention to this. Okay. Watch how we react as we start going underneath the midnight opening range, 12 to 12:30. If we're really in for higher prices, then I would expect price not to sit too long underneath your midnight opening range, because that is an institutional transaction level where they're really wanting to buy or sell for their position of the day. So right now, see, like ES is underneath it. Why, right? I want to, if it starts consolidating there or going even lower and lower and not, then we could potentially be looking for shorts today, because you're not going to find many opportunities to get on the other side of the midnight opening range to which way the move of the day is going to be. So if it's going to be a short day and we're going to go target, lower draws on liquidity, then I would expect not to have a bunch of time to get in short above the midnight opening range. If it's a long day, then I wouldn't expect to have much opportunity to get in under the midnight opening range. That's just a kind of uh like a soccer field outline to me. Not the reason I'm taking the trade, but it can add confidence in it. Hey Rambo, are you still in here? Yeah, price is picking up here. Pretty interesting. We wouldn't expect much opportunity to get in under midnight opening range if the move of the day is going to be continue to be bullish. So look at this SMT one more time. Definitely got some SMT really to all of these lows in here. Bullish SMT in the bullish PD array. Only 5-minute FEG is way up here, which we respected on this tap there. We definitely don't have a 5-minute on NQ. It's consolidating a bit more. We do have a nice 2-minute here. Movement. There is the same 2-minute on S there. So if we were looking for a trade here, see what we would get. I'm gonna switch MNQ real quick and get chart set up. There's my previous day high. Calling that my Asia high. Got parallel stuff. A 15-minute there. Four-hour IFEG there. Two-minute bearish here. ES is looking pretty weak, guys. I'm not sold on this yet. I think we should continue to have patience here. Here's that opening range. It's a very bearish looking 30-minute candle so far, but in a very high wick. So we do also have this 15-minute. All right, so good fade so far. Really sitting in some consolidation on Q. I'm going to flip back to regular NQ chart for now. Now it's sure pushing. So what I'm noticing here is if you look at ES, because it is the only index that has broken out of its midnight opening range. See three wicks underneath that box, right? And as soon as they've gone out of the box, it's retreated back into it. Let's look on the 1 minute. See that? Here's your line of your box. You see these wicks? They're popping right back into that midnight opening range. So I think our long bias here is good. I think we just got to time this thing right. I need probably maybe another sweep. I would really like another like true down leg that we could get a clean IFEG off of. See if it gives it to us here. 10:38. We're good on time. All right, so we actually did just sweep again on ES. There. So now we have another SMT. Bunch of SMTs huddled up down here now. Got another sweep. That might be what we needed. Now let's see if we get us a nice clean leg down. It's still over here on ES. Every time it pops out of that opening range box, it's popping right back in. Got 3 minutes left on this 15-minute candle. I think our SMT would now be a 15-minute SMT if it holds. Oh, there it is. It just dumped it. All right. So now we should definitely have us a clean leg down. Let's get rid of these. Accumulation, manipulation. Let's see what we get. Let's see if we can get us a nice impulsive move underneath the midnight opening range box and watch it try to pull back in. So let's see, ES is now tapping the H1 IFEG. So is NQ here. We also have the 4-hour IPG on it too. So we've basically bottom ticked it now. Be interested to see how this 15-minute closes. NQ now is looking a little more bullish than ES. Be right back. We actually inverse this one by like a tick. This one's definitely IFEG. Held this one. So we got a 3-minute there. Look on ES. Yep, we got a 3-minute on ES. Both went IFEG there. Actually, switch NQ's going on the right of the screen, guys, and ES on the left. It works better for my, capturing video. All right, I'm gonna take this here. Really wanted to see that 5 minutes stay on the gas and engulf this candle. If it falls off, I might cut. Nice. I like that. Getting some volatility, now re-entering the IFEG. I don't really want to do that. Hmm. I need that to be the low wick. Maybe just a buy. That 15's looking weak. He really doesn't want to get above my break-even line. I don't like how many times this thing's going back down and retesting the same area. Really need to come take this high on NQ. We got a bunch of SMTs flashing right. Goodness. What a freaking candle. We're about to SMT to low. It want to sweep. Needs to be my, well, they're so detached right now. I really don't like this. They were moving pretty in sync. It's the only reason I got in. We got to go run this high. Failing this spot every time on NQ. There we go. so far been a nice 5-minute candle for us. Anybody that's new to the channel, make sure to follow it. And I send out, sometimes I'll trade London session or Asia session if I like see a setup that I really, or I see a potential for a setup that I really like. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, TikTok, X, any of those platforms, then I do post on my story when I'm going live, or you can follow me on any of these platforms I'm streaming on, and it will obviously notify you when I go live. I would, but I would appreciate the support. We are about 30 days, maybe 45 days in on the social media accounts and streaming. All right, I really want to see the second half of this 5-minute candle. We got 2 minutes 30 seconds left on this 5 minute. Really want to see that thing just start expanding. What I don't want to see is we got 12 minutes left on the 15-minute candle. I don't want to see this thing start to peel back, leaving a wick, potentially turning into a bearish candle. The reason I'm nervous about that is if you look right here, we have no downside wick on that 15. That's a little sketchy to me. We got a little wick on the 15 on ES though, and not on NQ. Yeah, there we go. See, we really needed that 5-minute to pick up. About to hit a very important level here, guys, for our overall trade, right? 4-hour open, right? Why is that important? 4-hour opened here. Lower, open lower, giving us the 4-hour wick. Where did we buy? We bought on the wick, and we're going to catch a piece of that 4-hour expansion. What does that help me do? That helps me time the move of the market. That is not a strategy. I'm not just trying to buy just because the 4-hour went down first. It's not what I mean at all. The trade idea, setup, whatever you want to call it, comes from using ICT concepts like many others, but many people I'm sure can relate to the market, you know, getting in a trade, it stops you and then it delivers, right? How many times has that happened to you? I know it's happened to me for honestly, I think I was in that stage of my trading for probably a year and a half. I've been trading since 2020, so about 6 years now, and probably the year and a half before I actually got to profitability was full of that, where I had the right draw on liquidity, but my timing was, and I would get stopped out, and then I would catch the move, or I'd get stopped out twice, and then I would catch the move, or some days I would catch it on the first try, right? And I would come out, roughly break even or near it, maybe a little negative, maybe a little positive, but I really couldn't grow my trading like I wanted to. Um, so using that you could do it on the 1 hour candle as well, but and I do use the 1 hour candle in the same way, but each session I trade has a corresponding 4 hour. So if you're trading New York AM, 10 AM, London is the 2 AM, and then your Asia is the 10 PM. So I want to see the market. I look at liquidity kind of like gas in a car. I want to see the market manipulating people, aka fueling the car up, fueling the tank up. Because if I believe my draws on liquidity up here are going to get hit, I know I need in just this example, I know I need 135 points. Okay. So if I'm expecting the market to move 135 points in my direction, what do I want to see before that? Uh, I want to see impulsivity in the opposite direction, which a lot of people like that look for manipulation. But if you tie it back to the candle itself, you're aligning price to time. Or that's how I think of it. And it's really helped me time the market better. Not perfectly. None of us are perfect by any means, but much more consistent. Oh, so pretty good movement so far, guys. I mean, honestly, I don't really have any complaints on this so far. Um, uh, 15's looking really good. We got 6 minutes left. It may peel back just a little bit from here because well, I say that. I mean, it may not, right? I mean, I hope it doesn't, but you usually have some sort of wick on a 15-minute candle. Pretty small right now, so we may see that 15 pull back just a little bit. No 15-minute fair value gaps opening on NQ here that are relevant to us. We would potentially have this opening, but I'm not too worried about that. Let's look at the 5 minutes, see how we're lining up here. Uh, so essentially opening this little 5 minute here. And then we could also go ahead and get our Dilling range. Yeah, see how we're pulling back just a bit? I think that's okay. Um, here's our Dilling range. So there's that 5 minute open now. We're opening this 5 minute higher. We got that bullish 5 minute FEG there. We got equilibrium right underneath there. And then on ES, we're looking at this for our Dilling range. Got a bunch of 5 minutes all stacked on each other for on ES. So what I'm probably going to do, guys, is I'm going to get rid of this order at this kind of Asia high because I don't really care about it because if you look at the 1 hour, like it's just like a random wick in the middle of trending price. I don't think that I don't think us sweeping this is going to cause us to sell off. I think we're still driving to the previous day high. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make this my TP1 instead. When we take this extreme on ES, we'll probably hit that first. Probably call this my TP1 and maybe look to um, maybe scale out. I don't know. It's sure moving really well right now. Knock on wood. But don't want to be overly greedy. This market has been punishing people for being greedy lately. So I'm gonna I'm gonna put that down for now, but I'm just gonna kind of play it by ear for now. I'm gonna mark this as my TP1 and then potentially, and then I would leave this as my TP2. I'll go ahead and bump that to 4 contracts for now, just in case we get some crazy Trump candle or something up there. I'll actually exit, but probably will adjust that. There's that 15 kind of pilling back now. 2 minutes left on that. So we're also crossing that 4 hour opening price on ES right here. We really want price to just catch one more extension and get over that 4 hour open and start to hold it. If we see price start wicking at the 4 hour open and not closing above it, that could potentially, show us that that's actually acting as resistance, which would not be, which would not support the idea of a bullish 4 hour candle. Because we do technically have this as the 4 hour wick right now. So we do have an upper wick already. It's not like we don't have any upper wick. So this could still be the upper wick to a bearish 4 hour. I mean, that's still technically possible. But we really need some extra confirmation here that this thing wants to continue to grind higher. adjusting my billing range just to kind of keep up with the price extensions. Actually going to go down in time frame on ES just to look here. So here's our 4 hour open. So 1 hour seems to be or I'm sorry, 1 minute seems to be holding it, which is what we want. That 5 minute sure kicked back up before it closed. Got new 5 minute FEG open over here. Right at that 4 hour opening price. So we got about 3.5 points from that high to go break that high. And then we got about 49 points on NQ. That 1 hour candle is extremely bullish right now. Really don't want to see that pull back too far on it. If we want to come tap that 5 minute. Come on, NQ. Keep digging up there for me, buddy. Keep digging up there for me, buddy. This thing's going, boys. This thing is going. So we are getting decently close to what I was going to consider be my TP1. So we got 3 minutes, 20 seconds left on this 5 minute. I really would want that to be the low wick and this thing start to turn back over. 8 minutes on the 15 left. We could potentially, if it would extend from there, we would leave this, which we would have some defense to our stop, which I like. See what it to do here. Surprised that it didn't tap this like ES did. But ES got a very clean response out of that. And it being literally the first gap where you got 15-minute down here, you got a 30-minute down here, you got another 5, and it literally tapped the first gap one time and gave that close of a candle and then made a higher high. That to me looks good. I'm just a little surprised we didn't get that tap over here, but patience pays. See what patience is going to pay us today. ES is sure popping, man. Need NQ to pop. So I'm trying to think worst case scenario here, guys. I think the worst case scenario is, do we go? Well, now there we go. Now it's picking up. My only fear is, like, do we get a sweep here and we get some other SMT at this high? But now that NQ's picking up, I don't not really as fearful of that. The question is, do I start taking some size off my position? I would really like this to let this thing run all the way through this high. I'm gonna stack these up, see if it will run through them. So I think I'm gonna hold off on this for now. That being TP1, I think I'm gonna hold it. But if I start seeing, let's look at this 15 real quick. So 5 minutes left on this 15. I really don't want to see the 15 start to peel back. I really want it to hold. If it starts to peel back and look slightly, leaving a long wick on it, like, literally, right as I started saying that, I would consider pull this up and just put on maybe 2 of my 4 contracts to sell just in case I get that reaction, I can have that ready. This is really pushing up now. This is looking good. Big expansion there. Come on in, Q. Need it to pick up. 3 minutes left on this 15-minute. I really don't wanna hold through 'cause at 'cause at the end of this, we're gonna get a new 30-minute and a new 15-minute. I really don't wanna hold through potentially a manipulation wick of those candles. Nice extension there. Keep running. Come on, run. So 3 minutes, I'm gonna start making some decisions on my position for sure. Nice, nice, nice. Really getting some wheels now. I don't peel back. I did just take that Asia high there that I said I wasn't too worried about. I really think it's seeking the extreme of the range, the previous day high. I want the foot to stay on the gas here, though, especially ES. ES is driving us. I honestly should have longed ES, but NQ was looking like it was holding price better when I was around my entry time, is why I picked it. ES is freaking running, bro. About 2 minutes left on this 15 and the 30, starting to peel back on. Dang, I should have longed ES, bro. I don't think that it's a bad idea to hold the trade through the start of the next 15-minute. I don't think it's bad. I just think that we're opening this gap here, and you have to be willing to accept potentially drawing back down into that and then delivering. To, to me, based on the time, it's 11:30. I'm getting to the time that I'm usually looking to stop trading. 54 seconds here. It's really giving up some gains there. Floating 800. Uh, Saying that full TP would be nice. Decisions. People that think trading is just your entry model are so wrong. So we do have currently an SMT. I do think that that's going to impact us, even if it's just a short-term SMT that's later invalidated. It's given up so much, I might as well hold now. So 15-minute opened. Here comes our drawdown, not drawdown, but unrealized gain loss. Now, if it just flips up and goes, I'll be glad that I held. Maybe I got off easy. Maybe I got off easy. Come on, foot on the gas. Come on, foot on the gas. And here it comes. So we got a decent bit of room between the 15 gap and our break even. At this point, I really don't want to get stopped at break even. Sure, if there's a, yeah, we do have a 5-minute gap right here on ES. See how we react out of this. Going into here. Yeah, we're actually in a little 5 minute, but we're at such a high point in the range that doesn't really make sense for that to be all it needs. So our 15 on ES is here. To just our, so that's actually lining up equilibrium to this 15 gap. We could potentially look at a scale in opportunity here now that I'm thinking about it and still keep our break even. See what we get here. One of the main things I'm looking at right here, guys, is this 4-hour open, right? We really, if this candle starts to flip back bearish, then we're wrong. That's okay. Part of the game. So we're getting that tap. We're nowhere near that 15 on ES. Honestly, if ES comes down here to tap this 15, we're probably going to stop. Got a whole 4.5 points to. So going down in time frame here, let's look what this is looking like. Got potentially a 2-minute gonna form in here. if that tap was enough. This TS is holding this M5 as of now. See, got here. Got a 2-minute right here. Projecting from it though. So, just to kind of get ahead, if this is how I look at this. So I'm holding 4 contracts from down here. So I'm floating. If we inverse that IFEG, I'd be floating 91.5 points. So at that point, if I doubled my position, my break even would go somewhere in there. All right, going back down to the 15 again. And very ugly 15-minute candle to start. 7 minutes left, so we're basically at the halfway point of that 15-minute. Could potentially be forming a 5-minute right in the same little spot that I had that 2-minute. Same on it. ES still holding that 5-minute here. And actually, you have a down close candle right here on ES. So you could actually look at the 5-minute billing range right here. It's definitely rejecting equilibrium. A little difficult to see with all that I got drawn, but here's our equilibrium. That 15-minute range. That's overlapping our 15-minute fair value gap. This is going to be very painful if this comes all the way back down. But it's a game sometimes. I really don't get as frustrated with that as I used to because I know that I was right. Like the move that I captured was right. Maybe my target should have been slightly adjusted. Time moved well, but it can't be too hard on myself. If this thing will start buying its way back up. It's actually about to flip this into IFEG. Sucks. That goes IFEG now. We really want to see this thing just run back through that. Goodness, look at this candle, bro. Y'all see why I was sitting there talking about how I didn't want to hold through the 15-minute candle starting and the 30-minute candle starting? This is exactly why. Because it's like it's not necessarily that it makes me wrong. I think the trade still holds. I think the previous day high is still a great draw on liquidity to have, but holding through those kind of middle time frame candles like the 15 and the 30, definitely the 1 hour and 4 hour. You got to be willing to watch some of that unrealized gain go down the toilet. All right, we really want to see ES has been our driving force. We really want to see it start um, running this IFEG, basically saying that even though this did technically inverse by a few ticks here, you don't want to see it have this big wick on it and then start to pull back, because that would then look like inverse retap for this. So 15 minutes starting to get a little wick on it to the downside. I don't know if that's all she wrote though. Really want to see this thing pick back up. I need, I mean, it's not against my rules since I have my trade at break even for me to sit in it past 12, but it's very not like it's not ideal because you don't ever know what lunch hour is going to do, as many of you probably have experienced. All right, so we actually do have a 5 minute formed, a bearish 5 minute here. Oh, that's where that thing opened higher into, was that bearish 5 minute, and now it's pulling away. Oh, that's so ugly. This thing is about to punish me. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. So both of them right now are in a very critical area for me. We're sitting right at that 4 hour open, sitting right at that 4 hour open, right? It's not the end of the world for us to wick through that. But if we start closing candles underneath that, that that's and sense of probability starts decreasing. So 15 minutes about to close. Very brutal 15-minute candle to say the least. Um, hmm, 14 seconds, we get us a new one. Don't really have anything to do here, guys, but just to wait and see. Little bullish push to end that 15. Starting higher, no downside wick. I don't really love that. Back in that 5 minute bearish fair value gap. Really want to see this thing get ran. So let's go back and do another analysis on potential adding. So 94, we IFEG'd that at the top of that gap is 94.5 points. So half of that puts me roughly in there. So if I double my position here at this price, I could still be break even under the swing low. That is very interesting. I like to do the math to see how many can I add to my position and still maintain uh, not only break even on the trade, but more importantly, break even at a point at a pivot that makes sense. This is the 4-hour opening price and the 5 and 15-minute low. That's about as good as you're going to get in an intraday, intra-session type of trade, in my opinion. So we'll see how that ends up. And then if we got that, if we did indeed scale in from there, we still have about 43 points to capture to that previous day high mark. You don't want to see this candle flip over. NQ still has not tapped this 5-minute bearish gap. ES has wicked through the gap, but has been projecting from it so far. What it wants to do here. Looks like ES is picking up a little steam overall. But we did just start that 15-minute, and it has no wick on it. So are we opening high, low close on a bearish candle that gets us down into this on ES? That's the risk. That's the question. I think this 5-minute bearish gap is going to tell the story here. We can also start to adjust our billing range. So look at this downtrend here. So from swing high, swing low, here's your 50%. We want to get above that and start to hold. We don't want to start just wicking at it. Get that on our NQ chart here too. ES is definitely leading the charge. And see that response right there, right? Like here's your 50%. You wicked at it and now you're pulling back from it. That's not really what you want, right? We want to get above it and start to hold it. 44 seconds left on this 5-minute. We really want ES to hold this candle up. And we still have not tapped this at all on NQ. We're about a tick away from it. Reload this and check how. So Nvidia's bounced, AMD's bouncing, Broadcom is bouncing. Yeah, because the S&P had a lot of green down here already. Nvidia turning green. That semiconductor industry is. So now we actually just inverse this. This is looking pretty good. Not, we're just now tapping this on NQ. I want to get rid of this IFEG since we've ran through it both directions now. So IFEG there. 9 minutes left on the 15-minute. Really, really don't want to see this thing start to pull back. That no wick on the bottom uh, definitely scares me a bit. So I'm seriously considering adding to this position, guys. I'm a big believer in minimizing my initial risk. And what I mean by that is from my entry to my stop loss when I first enter the trade, what is my initial exposure, right? I want to get that initial exposure off the table as quick as I can, which we now have our stop loss at break even. And the way that I really make profit is that once I see that I am right and I am trending towards a draw on liquidity that I'm uh, confident in, I get very aggressive at scaling in, right? You want to be kind of a pig on your trade you're right on. So this trade that's a 2.09 RR, if I scale in, if I double my position, then I'm increasing the RR on it without risking more than I started with. 2 minutes, 20 seconds to close here on this 5. I honestly would like us not to run this high on ES because that would give us an SMT probably. I don't know, maybe not because it's running now. The more aggressive trade would have probably been as soon as ES inverse off this candle, even though we were only here on NQ, I could have probably scaled there, assuming that this was gonna inverse too. But I didn't want to be too aggressive. That would be another way of managing trade. Let's see if we definitely want to stay above the 5 minute here. We definitely want to get that inverse. And then we could look for the scale in off of the IFEG tap. And then that would essentially put us, we would have break even around this low right here. We'd be looking at basically that as our trade. Now, this does not look good to me at all. Falling off, retapping the IFEG over here. Oh, decisions. We're running right into the noon time now. Do I just take this money and walk? This is definitely not what I want. Yeah, I think at 15 without a wick on it, really catching my eye in a negative way. But really, so far, all we've done is retap the IFEG over here. And then here's our 5 minute equilibrium. Right? So far, knock on wood, we are holding above that. We got to get above the equilibrium here, though. See how we can't seem to close above equilibrium. Doesn't look that good to me. $15-minute candle looks decent enough on on ES. We are going to be opening a 30-minute fair value gap down in here at the top of the hour. I had the same exact situation basically yesterday, and I went into noon and I was floating profit, and I was getting some low time frame signals that the volume was kind of dying, and typical lunch hour stuff. And I closed it for like $500 or something, and then within 30 minutes it ran to full TP. And it was actually along the previous day high. All right, 2 minutes 30 seconds on this 5 minute. I really want this thing to flip for me. I got to get above this equilibrium on NQ. We're dancing around it way too much for my comfort. Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. What I do like is look at our 4 hour open here. Look at that. You cannot make this up, bro. You cannot make that up. To the freaking tick. To the tick. To the tick. Right here. 4 hour open. Nice, nice, nice. All right. Where could the top of the hour pull back into? I don't know. I don't see it coming back all the way down here. Do have an hourly gap way down here. Got an untapped 4 hour gap way up here. All right, I'm going to be very aggressive here with this position. So we did inverse this. So this is now M5 IFEG. I really don't want to see it come under this. I think that's going to be my bottom. Get back to the 5 minute on ES. Oh shoot, we do have the SMT. All right, there's our M5 IFEG tap there. Why does that keep doing that? All right, I need this thing to start reacting. I'm gonna try it. You only live once. All right, sell stop, going under the swing low. Got 8 contracts now. I'm just gonna change all of these to 2. And we will see how the cards land. See if this was a dumb decision or a good decision. 1 minute left on this 5-minute. Really want this thing to pick up here. Up, up. Like the I like the wick here. See if we can get this thing to push, flip. I'm gonna get these off the screen. You don't need. So far, it's holding the 5-minute IFEG well. Say that. We're still in that first half of the 15-minute. Need this thing to start buying its way back up. Now pop. All eyes for me right now are on this high. We need to take the high and get the SMT out of the way. I guess, well, actually, we really need this freaking high too, because right now we got another SMT there on the 5 minute. We need NQ to pick up, bro. 15 minutes flip bullish. See if we can maintain it. Have anything? Trying to see if we got anything playing defense. Yes. This is the hourly candle. Do have a decent wick on it. Volume just dying with it being lunch. Come on, guy. It's sure thinking about it. Can see that. So far, I mean, outside of us not breaking the high, the 5 minute looks pretty clean for the retest of the 5 minute IFEG there. The double SMT is not ideal though. So we're in that second half of the 15 minute. We've got a lower wick. Really don't want to see this. For me personally, I really don't want to see this low get broken. I want this to be the low, this thing to flip to a bullish candle. That would give us at least this high. Good Lord, this is like watching paint dry at this point. Come on, pop. Need 30 points. The 15 candle is really not wanting to turn over, even on ES. Like we've got some serious defense here. Side of that high and that hourly high, I don't really see why though. Fresh 5 minute here. Last 5 minute of the 15 minute. Mark this 15-minute low right here. It's a low. We really don't want to see it dive deeper than that. What would that mean for us? I mean, it really doesn't put our trade idea, it doesn't invalidate us, I guess. But come on, you can do it. You can do it. Trying very hard to be patient with this. NVIDIA is still holding. Look at this map real quick. Yeah, it seems like our overall it is picking up. It looks honestly like ES is getting a bit more bearish than it was earlier. It's not wanting to turn, not wanting to turn over. Getting to that exact spot each time and it gives it all back. About to get a 15-minute candle. Be the high of the next 15-minute candle can get us there, even if it's bearish, like open high low close bearish candle. Maybe that wick could pop us through this. Just sitting in that spot, man. Can't break that one spot. There's a small wick to the downside. Come on, go break the highs, bro. So this is our high. It looks like it just got edged. All right, there's the break of our that first SMT. That's good. We do have a higher high on ES. I'm sorry, on NQ. But now I can't make this up, bro. Now we didn't break this high on ES. And now we got a different SMT leaning NASDAQ to be more bullish. This is giving me conflicting signals, a lot of consolidation. I think it's about time for me to just call it. I need this to get broke on ES. it cannot get through that high right there. I mean, it did technically by like a tick, but uh, to me, the way I'm reading this is it's going to need liquidity to get past this high to like get up there and hold. And I definitely don't want to be part of the liquidity sweep because this low is the liquidity, and I am the liquidity or my break even. And it's sure eating. I'm telling you, as soon as I exit, it's gonna run. Come on, ES, go get that high. Go get that high. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on. All right, so that high did break. So now the only SMT we really care about is at this high. So all eyes shift to this. ES is looking pretty good, honestly, for continuation. Nasdaq still being all lackadaisical. 5 minutes are opening and closing in the same freaking spot. We're gonna keep this thing up here. Really probably about to cut this, guys. We just opened that 15 higher, made the high wick on it. Gotta go, son. You gotta go now. I'm tired of waiting on you. Interesting. No upside wick on this 5 minute. Only a minute into that. See if it flips. Swept a few 5 minute lows there. See. See if that's what it needed. Oh my gosh. Guys, I've become a pretty patient trader, but I don't know if I can stand this much longer. We're literally like 30 points away. And the frustrating part is I know that it's going to get hit. Or I don't know, but 90% sure that the previous day high gets hit. The problem is I don't know if it's going to pull back before it does. Come on. Just swept that low. Um, so ES is not taking any liquidity. It's holding. NQ's running the previous 15-minute low, which would be here for ES. So now we are forming a bullish SMT here. See if this can maybe get us up there. So we got 5 minutes left on this 15. We really need this thing to start turning and burning here. Open lower there on that last 5 minute candle. See if that thing flips. SMT at the low. See if it flips for us. That is our first bullish SMT since our entry. Oh, Lord, help me. Now it's running everybody. Is that what you needed? Now this is not looking. Because now I'm looking at this low where I'm break even at as the next liquidity. I need this thing to flip and fast. 3 minutes left on this 5 minute. 3 minutes left on the 15. Maybe it just got everybody that was trailing stops. Maybe it just took that as its liquidity. See if that's enough. You really need this candle to get back bullish. Really show us that that was a move sponsoring a bullish, incoming bullish. Not do that. Come on. The magnet's the other way, bro. I hate, I hate being in trades during the lunch hour. Absolutely freaking hate. Come on, bro. The magnet is the other way. Oh gosh. Guys, I just have a bad feeling that this thing's about to retrace on me. That is the negative of scaling in, right? So quick review, we were originally down here at break even in profit. We went 5-minute IFEG on this candle and we scaled in double. And we did that because the math worked out to be able to go break even at this low. Again, if we didn't scale in, our break even would be way down here. So we would have much more room for this thing to breathe. So they're not all scaling in doesn't always mean more profit, unfortunately. So ES is still making higher highs. Need NQ to come join the party. NQ looks like she's very tired. Haven't had a strong closing bullish candle on NQ in like 20 minutes. Bills there. The problem is we just started a 15-minute and a 30-minute. So we don't want this just to be the high wick of those candles. So keep that in mind. It starts to peel back, then you um, could have a open high low close candle. That's bearish. We run this high, that all this is hitting. That's what it comes down to. We just need this high. This high gets ran. I think it's GG's to TP. Patience pays, patience pays, patience pays. Let's see how much it pays today. We really want this thing to stay on it. We don't, like I said, we don't want these. See, ES is already flipped back bearish. They're just giving me conflicting signals. Now we're on a bullish candle on ES or on NQ, but we're having a bearish one on ES when it's been the opposite the last 15-minute candle. Flip this thing. Go. Flip. Giving it all back, man. All right. That's putting ES back bullish slightly. Now run. Run. Dude, this box right here is like the definition of rejection. All right, pretty strong 5-minute candle there, closing on NQ. Let's I'm really hoping that this sweep, so we ran liquidity on this wick here. I'm hoping that that was what we needed to get us out of this consolidation. So we'd have a accumulation, manipulation. Let's see if we get this distribution leg or not. All right, I need that to be the down wick. Oh my gosh. Market is literally trying to liquidate everybody going targeting previous day high. Oh my gosh. High wick on the 30, rejecting. high wick 15 rejecting, 1 hour's flip bearish. As I'm starting not to like this. At the point of like, do I just let it ride and stop watching it and just see what freaking happens, or do I just take this $550, call it a day? I really don't want to. And make a decision quick before it takes all unrealized gain out of my pocket. It's going to go sweep that low. I don't understand how ES is holding. I would give us a new S&P there. It's swept. One minute left on this 15. I'm sorry, on this 5. Oh, I'm so close to hitting this button and just being done, guys. Floating $650. $30 and the 15 really haven't done anything. I'm out, guys. I'm gonna take the 500. All right. All right. That's it for today for me. Appreciate everybody that joined. I will potentially, well, real quick before we do that, I think what we're going to end up seeing here is we could pull into this order block on the 1 hour. We could potentially make a 1 hour fair value gap here. Or this 30-minute here. I think the continuation trade is still there. We just, you got to figure out where it's going to actually fall to. So I think those are the 3 things that I'm going to be watching going into PM session, and see if I can take potentially a second stab at it. But to be clear, if we look at the 4 hour as our high time frame, we have this previous day high S&P still holding. Make sure you're aware of that. Any decisions. 4 hours looking very bullish. This is exactly what we wanted to see. 4 hour open, manipulate lower, tap something of significance, a POI that we had, and then low time frame reversal back up to give us a bullish 4 hour candle, and catch a leg of that expansion. We did that. That was successful. We did have good pinpointing buying. We basically got in like right in here somewhere. So good location of the trade. It just hasn't delivered yet. Maybe it does, but it looks to me that my stop loss at this low right here was going to get ran. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'll catch you guys. I will potentially be on for London tonight, Asia or London, depending on what price action's looking like. But for sure, New York AM tomorrow. I'm trying to start uh, putting on my story on TikTok when I'm going live and Instagram when I'm going live. So you guys follow me on there. Um, you can be notified if I do end up doing London or Asia. All right. I appreciate it. Y'all have